This is Mrs. Naslund, and today we'll be doing Unit 1, Lesson 4, Multiplication Comparisons. Our learning targets for today are, I can write multiplication and division equations for comparison problems, and I can solve multiplication and division comparison word problems. When we talk about comparison, we're comparing two amounts of things together. And one way we can compare things is by drawing what we call comparison bars. And here's an example of a comparison bar. So I'm going to go through this example here to try to help you understand how we can use these comparison bars to compare two different pieces of information. So the situation that we're going to look at says, to prepare for a family gathering, Sarah and Ryan made soup. Sarah made 2 quarts and Ryan made 6 quarts. You can compare amounts using multiplication and division. So in this case, they used R as the variable to equal the number of quarts Ryan made. You got R for Ryan, and S to equal the number of quarts Sarah made, S for Sarah. So if we look at this, they were able to draw these comparison bars by looking first at the smallest amount. So in this case, 2 quarts, the one that Sarah made, was the smallest. So they started by drawing the bar there for Sarah and writing 2 in it. And then Ryan made 6 quarts. So R for Ryan, and they drew 2, 4, 6 quarts in the bar shape so that you can kind of see how it's laid out. Now, when we're comparing these, we are able to say that Ryan made 3 times as much soup as Sarah, right? If you took Sarah 2 times 3, 1, 2, 3, you would end up getting the 6 quarts. So the equation that they ended up writing for that is Ryan's equals 3 times, so Ryan's quarts is 3 times the amount of Sarah's quarts. Okay, that's the multiplication way. Now, you could also write it as division. And I could write it as division by saying Sarah's is equal to Ryan's, okay, divided by 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if I took 6 quarts and divided it by 3, I would get Sarah's 2 quarts. So I would write the equation as Sarah's is equals to Ryan divided by 3. Okay, so let's look at another example here, and then we'll actually try to create some on our own. It says Natasha made 12 quarts of soup, Manuel made 3 quarts. Draw comparison bars to show the amount of soup each person made. So again, remember what I said earlier, is that I always look at the smallest number, okay, and I start by drawing that bar first. Manuel is the smallest number, and he only made 3 quarts. So I'm going to go ahead and reveal this, and we'll see how they drew it out. But yep, there we go. Manuel M, he only made 3 quarts, so I draw his box first. And then I would go ahead and look at Natasha, who made 12. So I would draw her 3, add 3 more on for 6, 3 more on for 9, and then 3 more on for a total of 12 quarts. Okay? All right, so let's look at question number 2 here. It says blank made 4 times as many quarts as blank. So who made 4 times as many? Natasha made 4 times as many quarts as, you said Manuel? Great work. Okay? Write a multiplication equation that compares the amounts. So now we want to write the multiplication. So I could say that that Natasha's is equal to 4 times Manuel's, right? So if I take 3 and I times that 1, 2, 3, 4 times, I'm going to get that 12 quarts that Natasha has, okay? So Natasha's is equal to 4 times Manuel's amount, all right? All right, blank made 1/4 as many quarts as blank. All right. Manuel made 1/4, right? If you look at these as a fraction, 1 of the 4 that he could have possibly made was Manuel's quarts as Natasha. All right. Write a division equation that compares the amounts. So how do I write that out as a division equation? I could say that Manuel is equal to Natasha's divided by 4, right? So if I have this 12 quarts and I divide it by 4, I'm going to end up with the 3 quarts that Manuel made. So we have Manuel equals Natasha divided by 4. All right, the last question says, multiplication is putting together of equal groups. How can this idea be used to explain why a times as many comparing situation is multiplication? And basically you could say that the big quantity is represented groups of the smaller quantity, right? So this bigger amount here of Natasha's, the 12, is represented by these smaller groups of Natasha. If I took Natasha's and I did it 4 times, I would get that bigger group. All right, I think that's what it says there. Yeah. All right, good. Let's go ahead and try drawing a comparison bar for ourselves here. It says, in the gym, 8 girls are standing in one line and 4 boys are standing in another line. Draw comparison bars to compare the number of people in each line. So again, I always start with the smallest amount. There's 4 boys in one line. I'm going to draw my line, my box here. And I can even label it here. So there's boys, and there's a total of 4 of them, right? 4 boys standing in a line. All right, now, if we go to the next one here, girls, it says there are 8 girls. So I'm going to still draw my 4. And if my drawings were really good, they would actually align, but they're close enough. 4. I'm going to draw it again to represent the 8. So we've got 4. And now 4. Okay, and this is the girls. Again, you'll have to forgive me, I'm writing on the computer. I'm not as skilled writer when I'm using the computer. All right. So we've got girls and we have boys. It says write a multiplication equation that compares the number of girls to the number of boys. So I want you to go ahead and try that one. What is the multiplication equation I could write that could compare the number of girls to the number of boys? And they use G as girls and B as boys. All right, so if you came up with girls is equal to boys times 2, then you are right on, right? Because we can look at it and say, okay, the girls is 8 is equal to boys. If I took 4 and I times it by 2, I'm going to end up with that total of 8. So girls is equal to boys times 2. Now it wants me to do it the opposite way. It wants me to write a division equation that compares the number of boys to the number of girls. All right, so to do that one, I would have to say, okay, boys is equal to girls divided by 2, right? So if I had 8 girls and I divide it by 2, I'm going to end up with my 4 boys. Okay, so let's do one more and then we'll be done for today. It says a collection of coins contains 20 pennies and 4 nickels. Write a multiplication equation and a division equation to compare the number of pennies and the number of nickels. So first I'm going to go ahead and draw my comparison bar. And this one might be a little bit more tricky, but we'll go ahead and try to draw it. So we have, again, my smallest number is 4. and that's nickels. Oops, sorry, I'm going to write 4 in there. So I've got 4 nickels. Put N out here for nickels. And now I have to draw my comparison bar for the pennies. All right, so I drew out the pennies here for us. It's not perfect, but you can see, so we have pennies and we have nickels. And now it wants us to write both the multiplication equation and a division equation. So to do that, I'm going to look at here and I'm going to say, okay, if I have, this is the total number of pennies I have, how many times am I going to have to times nickels by to get pennies? So I'm just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? I'm going to have to times nickels times 5 to get pennies. So my equation then would be pennies is equal to 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times the nickels. Again, when they write it like 5n, they really mean 5 times n. Now, for the division equation, I want you to go ahead and see if you can figure out what your division equation would be in this problem. All right, if you came up with nickels is equals to pennies divided by 5, then you are right on, right? So if I took the 20 pennies that I have and I divide it by 5, I'm going to end up with those 4 nickels left. So N is equal to P divided by 5. Great work! Today we talked about how to solve comparison problems.